Commissioner, do you need a?
Oh, yes. I read it. What?
All right, we're going to go ahead and call this workshop into order for Monday, August 21st. City Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vila Vasquez? Present. Commissioner Burbank?
He's
Commissioner-
excused himself.
Excused, okay. Commissioner Caldwell? Here. Commissioner Jody Lee? Here. Commissioner McCool? Here. Vice Mayor Bradford?
Here.
Mayor Vila?
Here. We're going to please stand for the pledge, and if Commissioner Vila Vasquez can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Are you singing, Mayor?
America. We're going to go ahead and start with Section 4.
Good. Before
ahead,
we,
Commissioner.
can we do something real quick? Can we just get a consent on accepting Mr. Chisholm's letter of
We
resignation?
can't do that until it's on the agenda for the commission, regular commission meeting, because we're not allowed to
We can't
vote
just get
right now.
consent?
We're not allowed to vote
not
at a
allowed.
workshop.
I'm not voting, I'm just a consent. It's not a vote.
It needs to be voted on.
Okay.
Yeah. It's already on the next, the city manager is informed it's on the next agenda for the commission meeting. But thank you. Let's go ahead and we're going to go into the discussion regarding the city manager search. This is to find our permanent city manager. And if any of the commissioners want to go on board first to speak, and then after we hear the commissioners, we'll have public comment.
One, I don't like the timeline. I'm gonna be straight up. So when we look at the timeline, let's start with that.
Okay.
We're having a special meeting today, then tomorrow we're immediately posting. We're posting based on, like, where did that information come from in the advertisement? Is that a prior advertisement? Okay. I mean, I looked at it and I wasn't impressed with it, to tell you the truth. I almost laughed because it just, I don't know, there was just something about that. We've had some comments from the residents on that, but we're posting on a advertisement that, what are we looking for? Do we know what we're looking for? Do we really know what we're looking for? We're looking for a city manager who's going to stay here more than 6 months. That's great. But I don't want to rush into posting a advertisement and then we don't do anything until November 30th, December 8th, January. So we're still looking not till January to even do anything. And I don't really even see, when I'm going through this, I see closing date, December 8th, final resumes forwarded to the city commission. December 11th, city commission selects semifinalists. City holds a reception for candidates and spouses. Elected officials interview candidates. City selects, I mean, this is January 12th, January 13th, January 15th, and January 16th at the end. So when we go to city holds receptions for candidates and spouses, where's the feedback that the city's receiving from that reception back to us? So it's just like this timeline, I'm not liking it. So another question that I had, we have an amazing university with Stetson University. And when I did a search, because I spent 2 days Googling best way to find a city manager, how to do a city manager search, what is the best way to interact with residents. And when I did it for Florida, a bunch of different city managers came up that are great city managers in the state. And when you look at their bio, they came from Stetson. So we have an amazing local college, and I guess my question is, do they have some input that would help us in this search for what do we really want as that? I don't know if that's something they can offer, but I would love to see if they do, because they obviously bring out some great city managers. And then when I went through, like I said, the job posting, I wasn't too impressed with it. So I don't know if that's something that we can get more insight into. The city manager profile, I wasn't impressed with that. I mean, so the whole overall, to me, wasn't impressive. And that's just my personal opinion. So I'd rather take our time and do it right, so we're not doing the same old again. So does anybody know if Stetson offers any sort of assistance as far as their government classes go? And if we can get assistance from them?
Madam Vice Mayor, I'm not sure of that, but we certainly can make contact with Stetson and see what they do have to offer.
Okay. I mean, they may have some intern students or recently graduated that might be able to assist us, which would be great to have current. Commissioner Villa-Vasquez?
Thank you, Mayor. Are we opening this position to new candidates? Or are we just going with the previous candidates that apply? I'm asking because some of these candidates might already have a job. And there might be some new candidates out there that we might be interested in.
It was looking by this, it looks like we're posting this for 90 days. That's what I'm saying. If you look at the timeline, it has August 21st and then August 27th. They're dispersing the advertisement to publications, posting the city's website and email, and then November 30th, they're closing it. So the way it looks is we're reposting it, but that's what I'm questioning.
Because
whether we repost it.
according to the timeline, it says we're putting it on the website and emails. Are we putting it out there in the newspapers and other city managers, websites and stuff like that? That's my number one question. The other question I have is for final resumes. It says will be forwarded to City Commission. Are these resumes going to be reviewed by HR? And who's vetting them? Because we can't. So those are my two questions as far as the final resumes being forwarded to the commission. And does it involve anything of background search, vetting, stuff like that? Which leads me to the previous city manager that we interviewed. They were brought in by our HR, am I correct?
All the applications were submitted through the city clerk's office.
I'm sorry?
The last time, all the applications were submitted through the city clerk's office.
Okay.
All of this stuff is preliminary. You should be directing us what you want to say in the ad, what you want your timeline to be. This is just all preliminary stuff based on what we've done in the past. You guys need to direct us what you want.
Okay, then that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Go by.
That's what I'm trying, because the last time it was like a really rush.
Right. So if you don't want to do that, then we need to come up with a timeline, come up with an ad, when you want it posted. That's what we're asking you for.
Okay, but the previous candidates, they went through HR, or they went straight to you, Joyce?
They were submitted to me, and then we called all the references. My staff called all the references. Background checks were done through HR.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody had their button pushed, it kind of went blank, so re-push your button again, please.
I have you on the board, Commissioner McCool, but go ahead.
Yes,
Mr. Whitcomb.
yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this was just put forth to you just for a suggestion. You can change it however you would like, and we're just putting it forward for you for right now to give you an idea of kind of you can come up with whatever other format you want, those type of things.
Thank you, Commissioner Dana McCool. Then we have Commissioner Jody Lee.
Thank you very much. And I also have a problem with the time frame. I mean, this needs to be like this. And I would like to ask for consensus from the commission, Mr. Mayor, permission at this time before we keep moving forward, because I know the other night our city manager from DeBerry has offered help, and I would like to hear that as we move forward before we move for public comments, because they were, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We already spoke, and Mr. Whitcomb is going to bring him up during his comments.
Okay. So I'm just asking can we do that before we engage further? Because we're talking about who's going to do the search, and it's germane, right, to the conversation of how we proceed forward. Is that possible,
I believe
Mr. Mayor?
he's going to help with when it comes to the budgetary stuff.
Right.
Okay.
And
Mr. Whitcomb?
Yes, we can certainly, I had thought of doing it during the comments section of the meeting, my comments, but we can certainly get a consensus from the commission. We can have Mr. Carmen come up and speak. I'm okay with that if we do that right now.
Sure. Can we go, do we have consensus from everybody on the dais to let Mr. Carmen Rosabunda speak?
Yes, but I just want to know, what is it about? Is it about the hiring of?
but, yeah,
It's about the help that DeBerry and others want to offer the city of Deltona.
yeah, because it's what we're discussing, the city manager, and they have, from what I understand, have put forth an idea for that selection process also. So I just want us to have all options out while we discuss before we get deeper into the conversation, and certainly before public comment, Mr. Mayor.
So whatever the commission's will is, we'll do. We can wait to my comments. That was what I was planning on doing, but we can do whatever consensus you all want to come up with.
Okay. I think the dais wants to wait until your comments. Is that the only thing you had, Commissioner Merkel? All right. Commissioner Jody Lee, and then I'm going to say a couple things, and then it's Vice Mayor Bradford.
One of the things about the city manager search, we need to get, the timeline is, we need to get somebody in here. Mr. Whitcomb needs to go back to his position. We need to get somebody in here with some strong leadership. The way it's always been done, it has a lot to be desired. You know, I made a comment last week about some things, and I guess some people got upset. So I want to apologize if I made somebody upset about an older person being a city manager. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it as a thing against senior citizens or anything like that. So I want to apologize for saying it that way. But we need to get somebody in here that's got some strong leadership. I mean, I think we need to change it up a little bit. Evidently, what we've been doing, or what this city has been doing in all the past commissions, it hasn't worked out. We keep getting other city managers. We just talked about last meeting about not taking prior city managers, and here we are discussing again putting a search out for city managers that are unemployed. I mean, we're going to go do the same thing. We're going to get another city manager from another place that, if he's a real good city manager, why are they unemployed? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of different searches. How we're going to do these search. We always put a search out for people that have been city managers. It should be anybody with leader. I mean, people with different educational background, not just people that had a job as a city manager somewhere else. I mean, there was a lot of people that worked for the city. I'm sure they weren't in this position when they started in life. I mean, they've moved up. I'm just saying what I feel. Right now, I'm not saying somebody said that. But these searches have been done through and through and through, and it hasn't worked out. Maybe it's time we change it up and get somebody that has more leadership skills. What about somebody that ran a college and they ran big budgets? It doesn't mean they can't be a city manager. We look for somebody that has been a city manager. We don't always have to get somebody that was. Let's get somebody that's got leadership skills. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be just somebody that was a city manager somewhere. That's what just got us into this one. That's what got us into the last city manager, We just keep doing it over and over, the same thing, and then we expect something different, and we get in the same situation every time. That's all I'm talking about. Thanks for your input.
Okay, so before we go to Vice Mayor Bradford, I have a couple of questions. Joyce, I see here an email. Obviously, that was when we were looking for an interim city manager, correct? That's not for this. This is just like a model, I'm assuming? Correct?
Yes, that was one of the actions that was placed.
Okay, perfect. That's what I don't know. Also, when we were doing the city manager search, and I've been trying to look for some of the formats or whatever, I'd love to get, and I know that this is an idea I'm going to throw out there, and if the commission's not for it, I understand. But at some point, I would like to see some type of a committee formed by a couple of the department heads, because at the end of the day, our city employees have to live literally, essentially, with the city manager. They spend more time with them than they do with their families. I mean, this is a full-time job, right? I believe getting input from them is extremely important just because they've seen the majority of these city managers come and go, so they have an idea of what we should be looking for, so we should actually reach to them for some ideas. And also some type of committee that residents can also have an input, and I see that we have in here for us to do something where the city manager candidates can come and they sit down, which the vice mayor has brought up, and it was a great point, but we're not allowing enough time to get the input from the residents. It's like you sit down, you speak to them, it's almost like a speed dating thing. We don't get any feedback. We need good, solid feedback from the residents. Unfortunately, sometimes, even on important things like this, we tend to take our time. And I heard from enough residents, I've read enough emails where residents are telling us, this is important, now that we're looking for a permanent city manager, don't prolong it, but don't be too hasty in hiring somebody. And to go to Jody's point as well, let's look for somebody that has enough leadership skills. I don't know how I feel about at least maybe deputy city manager or something. No experience in government, I feel a little bit uncomfortable in, but we need to think outside of the box. We've gone through 18, 19, I don't know how many city managers. We need to figure something out. So if the dais would entertain me in either of these committees for our employees and for residents, I would be forever grateful. So, Vice Mayor Bradford.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the items that I read was they actually had a couple committees put together. One was a resident committee board, and another was a staff consisting of various staff members in the management level as well to come on the board, and then it also came before the commission, and so we have all input from everybody involved. Sitting here 6 years going through numerous city managers, I am telling you, staff needs somebody who is qualified. Staff doesn't need somebody that, I know exactly who you're talking about, Commissioner Jody Lee. We also have to be cautious. It's not our job to bring in these individuals and walking around. We got to tread lightly on certain areas, and bringing in individuals, walking around City Hall, giving them input, those are things that need to come before the commission, okay? And you mentioned bring Mr. Ruiz back to his position. What did that mean? You in the beginning of your statement, you said something about let Mr. Ruiz get back to his position.
No, I said it once we need to get somebody in here so Mr. Whitcomb can get back to his position.
I was like, I know, I thought you
That's
said
what I
Ruiz.
said.
That's why I was confused. I'm like, okay. Having a city manager with experience is critical. And I say that because what are we doing right now? We're calling on a city manager with experience to come here and help us because that experience matters. Staff, they're the ones suffering. I get the residents are upset, understandable. Our staff is the one that has uncertainty right now. Our staff is the one that doesn't know what's going to happen, and it's over and over and over. I mean, they're scared as it is because they don't know who their new boss is going to be. Because we can't hire and fire them. That new person does. And it's important to them that they have somebody who understands government. That, you don't just bring somebody in, because running a business over here and being a CEO is a lot different than running a government business. They're ran two totally different ways. I just think we need to step back, do this the right way. I need to have some resident input because their input is important to me as well. What are we looking for in a city manager? This is where that board comes in, and it's critical that we get a citizens board, a staff board, and, I don't even know if we want a couple commissioners on it if we're allowed to do that without it being a violation of sunshine. I'm guessing as long as it's posted, we can do that. And let's get this done right. And it may be including other professionals from other cities, bringing them in. But to jump in, I don't agree with that. But I will say, experience is a necessity. We're here because we had a city manager with Jane Shing that she was She was never been an actual city manager, or it was a very small town she did. We had another one that was appointed, and another one that was appointed, and another one that was appointed. None of them, other than this last one, which had extensive experience. So running in all the departments, it's important. And for staff's sake, we need an experienced city manager. It could be, I don't know, that's why I said we need to get somebody with the government experience that teaches these guys, which is our local college. And if we can see if they can help us, and along with our local cities, I think we can knock this out of the ballpark, and we can have a city manager that the residents, the staff, and as a commission, we can all work with. So I really want to hear what they have to say before I make a decision, and I want to hear what they have to say before we make a decision going any further. That's it.
Commissioner McCool, then Commissioner Jody Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to go back to the timeline here. I mean, shortened by at least 30 days, because at this juncture right here, I think that within 2 weeks, we should be able to put together a resident committee. We have enough people that would volunteer for that. That needs to be done post-haste. I also think that it needs to be because I know that we're all eager to seek this, to understand candidates coming in, but I think that we all need to agree not to meet with a candidate individually, that we wait until the pool is presented in front of the commission, because we now, more than ever, need open transparency with our community, and we need to do things collectively. We'll be getting, of course, resumes in. I mean, I have some in my inbox already, right? But as a commission, I don't want to go, no matter how qualified a candidate is, go courting a candidate, right? Because it causes divisiveness between the commission. So I believe that we need to reserve that for when we have the final pool. So I need to understand legally, first of all, is 90 days the timeline that we must adhere to, or can we shorten that by a month, by 30 days?
It is completely up to the commission.
Okay, so I think that we need to be as succinct as possible this evening before we leave this workshop in the timeline. I think that today is August 22nd, or 21st, tomorrow is the 22nd. I think that it should be time certain, put forth within the next 2 weeks that we put those committees together. I think that by the after that 2-week period, the next, who would we have to select the committee is what I want to understand. I want us to think about. We don't need to answer it, but
I think
In the past, you've each chosen a person, a resident.
okay. So each commissioner choose a person.
Person chooses one, so everybody's represented.
Okay, all right, that sounds amazing. So we would have 7 then. So in 2 weeks, I think that we should each make a choice with that. So put that as time specific in the next 2 weeks, and then shorten that date for 2 months, because we need to get going. After the first of the year, it's getting too close to, I don't know, I just think that we need somebody seated right away. Also, as far as that goes, for the closing dates also. In between then and there, after we have the candidates, we need to have, we will have the resident input from the committees, but I think that when it says City Commission select semifinalists, that we kind of we need to put the committee somewhere in there also, right, before that date, because we need to hear from them before we do the actual semi-finalist. That's what I think. And then after that, the city can hold the reception, right, elected officials, and then so forth and so on. But I think that one of the things to maintain that transparency is to have, as quickly as we can, to seat those committees, right, so that we can move the process ahead. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Jody Lee.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, I agree with a lot of what you said about the experience. And you're right, we need somebody that has some experience, but I'm still going to, I don't necessarily believe it has to be just all city experience. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that can do a good job. I think they should take out the requirements for the ICMA or the FCMMA. I think those should be excluded. They could be in, I mean, the people, if they part of that, that's fine, but I don't think it should be a mandatory thing. There's a lot of people out there that have good experience. I mean, you mentioned like Mr. Chisholm that just left, he had the experience. Although I liked Mr. Chisholm and he got some stuff done, he got a lot of work started, he's the one that just left us with all his experience like no other city commissioner, every city manager has left. 40 years experience, he walked out in the blink of an eye. Everybody else, 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, or whatever it was. He left us just stuck. So, and that was 40 years plus experience as a city manager. So the experienced city managers, no offense, but this one time it seems like we got done wrong more than the last ones. And he had the most experience. So I get the experience, but experience as a city manager and experience in life, sometimes one outweighs the other. You can get people that have ran successful $1 million companies or stuff like that that would do a good job. They're good at not wasting money. Some city managers come in, oh, it's government money, we'll just spend it, spend it, spend it. You got somebody that ran a business, they can't spend money like that. They're going to watch, I think they're going to be more fiscally responsible than some people that are used to working in government, because when they're used to working in government, they can get what they want. The other thing is we need to work on these golden parachutes they always tend to walk away with. 6 months, a year of pay, free salary, free this, free everything. There's a lot of things. I mean, you find somebody that has experience in the private sector, what happens if he's, say, retired military? He's going to get benefits. He don't have to get benefits from the city. That's going to save us a ton of money. So, but it might not be somebody that was in the ICMA or the what other manager groups there is. Somebody in the private sector might do us better than somebody that's not working in a city somewhere with some city manager experience. That's all I'm saying.
All right, just so we move forward with direction, and we'll get to Commissioner McCool and then public comment. So far, I think we've all agreed on a committee for our residents where each commissioner picks a resident, right? Okay, so we have that. And then did we agree on a committee for staff? Maybe that's something Mr. Whitcomb can pick the staff, or is the commission also going to do that?
I would say that it should be up to department heads in order, because they know their department best. I'm not trying to...
But that's what I'm saying. Should Mr. Whitcomb pick the department heads? I think that it should be that way, so we're not interfering with staff.
Exactly.
Are we good with that, Commission?
Yes.
And do we want any commissioners on the board, or we just want to leave it unbiased with them? I say we just leave it with
I
the
agree.
decisions they put together in the committee. And as a commission up here as a whole, we need to act as one and respect what they've decided to do.
100%. That way they have a seat at the table and it's very unbiased. So I
Right,
agree
because
with
we've
that.
had many times we didn't back a committee. We have to back that committee, and we have to agree as a whole.
So could we do it where 50% of the decision comes from the dais and 25 and 25, one from each committee?
That's
exactly what I read.
Okay.
But the problem with that is, what happens if the citizen committee disagrees with the department head committee?
It's fine. We'll figure that out, because it's 25, 25, and 50. It still unites everyone. Look, we've done this here, right? Sometimes we don't all agree on one decision, but regardless of the outcome, we're still a commission, and we have to move forward with, we decided on this, not these decided and we didn't. No, we make the decision. So is the commission okay before I call on Commissioner McCool and Vice Mayor Bradford for us to listen to the public? You're okay with us going to public before we go to your comments?
Yeah.
All right, let's go with public comment, and then we'll go to Commissioner McCool.
Lindsay Narcisse? Lindsay Narcisse? Excuse me? No, Narcisse. Tara D'Erico?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Tara D'Erico, Deltona, District 3. So love everything I'm hearing. Thank you very much. I know I had emailed you all this weekend with a very similar suggestion, so for those that have read it and got back to me, thank you all very much. I appreciate that. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of advice tonight, right? A lot of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, who you should hire, who you shouldn't hire. So you don't need to hear all that from me. I just wanted to thank you all for really taking a pause after last week's meeting, realizing the value of getting residential and staff input, and more importantly, it sounds like making the commitment tonight that you're actually going to take the suggestions from the residential and the staff committees to heart and really add those into the input of the decision. I'll just say it here now, I will email my request formally, but if anyone would like to tap me on the shoulder, I'd be happy to participate. And I'll leave you all with this. We're at a critical turning point in our city's history. A few years from now, we can look back and we can compare our city to a phoenix rising from the ashes while we hold our heads high, taking pride. Everyone set aside personal differences and opinions and came together for the greater good of our city and our community. Or we can look back in despair, sad and regretful, knowing we did not learn our lesson. Continued down the same path, repeated the same behaviors, and nothing has changed because we have refused to learn from our mistakes. When the history of our city is told, please think about what you would like your part to be. Thank you very much.
Courtney Cross Burgess.
Good evening. Courtney Cross Burgos, District 3. I have very little knowledge of local government, but it seems strange to me that we spend
Courtney, I don't mean to interrupt you. Can you speak closer to the mic?
Sure.
There you go. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? I sound like the Sprint commercial. It seems strange to me that we spend $200,000 on a city manager position, and our mayor gets paid peanuts. And the city manager is appointed by you guys. The mayor is elected by the people. So maybe we need to think of a different system, maybe the strong mayor system, because what we're doing now doesn't seem to be working well. And I just really have a hard time wrapping my head around that we give all the power and all the money and all the responsibility to somebody that's appointed instead of somebody that's elected. We elected the mayor for a reason, because of his ideals or whatever. And I'm not just talking about this mayor, I'm talking about in general. I don't know anything about the city commissioners. I mean, I can read about them, but I don't know about them. And I don't know what their past is or what their future is or what their political views are or what they want to do for our city. So I think we need to go to a strong mayor. And hopefully that could maybe bring something up. And just on a side note, it'd be really nice if Commissioner Bradford would pay attention when people talked. And I agree with Jody Lee, and the whole time he was talking, she was rolling her eyes and doing this and this. That's not very respectful for anybody, and we can see it, and on TV we can see it.
Thank you, ma'am. Jim Pescia, please.
Jim Pescia, District 2. I sat here in this audience when we started the search for Jane Shank. Watched it as we went through Dr. Cooper, and we brought in Mr. Peters, and then Jim Chisholm. All of those guys had government experience. Mayor John emphasized the need to get an government-experienced city manager. Since that time, we have been going downhill with our city managers. Commissioner Bradford made some good points about experience with the city manager. Commissioner Jody Lee made good points about managers in general from the public. You can't run a successful business in the public without being good. The longer we spend time in the city government, the more time we seem to be able to acquire bad habits, if I can put it that way, and we saw the results of those. I highly recommend including public sector into our search. Move those requirements for those certificates and obligations with, and only emphasize government experience. Let's keep our mind open. We need everything we can do to get us up from where we're at. We've gone down a long road, and a lot of it was because of bad experience in government. Let's open our minds, please, and move us forward and take in all possibilities. There's good managers out there in both sectors. Thank you.
Deborah Abel, please.
I totally agree that we should be looking at somebody who has good communication, leadership skills, that are working to do the best for our city. A lot of times when you get city experience and stuff, they get tainted also, and people nowadays are having troubles trusting the government. And anybody can go in from the secular field and learn the rules and regulations of the city. I also recommend that I think you should have 2 residents for each commissioner to be selected, and just not one, and hear different opinions. Thank you.
Kathy Bryan, please.
Good evening, Kathy Bryan, Deltona. I did have a question, and I think Commissioner Vasquez brought it up, because in the timeline is talking about the search and sending the ad out, but are we still using the search company? Because otherwise, how do you know what candidates to send it to? So are we still searching for the company, or do we have that to assist with finding the applicants? When you start the interviews with the managers on the contract stuff, don't give away the store again. Please ensure that they understand there's going to be accountability and even evaluations built in. I'm a big proponent for evaluations. I don't think it's fair if I do a good job and Jody Lee doesn't do a good job. Why should he get the same pay raise as I am? Thank you for letting me use this as an example. I think you need to find an interim so that Mr. Glenn can go back to Public Works, but don't get comfortable with status quo again. Keep that search for the real manager going if you can find an interim. Not that you wouldn't do a good job, but I know you have lots of stuff to do in Public Works. Talking about staff being included, I think it would be nice to have the department heads pick 1 or 2 staff members out of their departments to attend. That way it's just not the department heads, but you get people at the working level. Have a point system during the interviews where you rate different points, and then that way, whether it's the residents, whether it is staff or otherwise, you've got an outline, clear path. The other thing is you're going to do an application for the residents who want to potentially help. And if you do, please exclude any previous commission or county council members. Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria Ford, please.
Good evening, Gloria Ford, District 1. And I'm listening, and some good points. One thing I want to point out and reiterate again, Tara brought it up. Remember what you did in the past so you don't repeat it in the future. The quick to judgment. Don't be quick to judgment. Don't make those motions off the top of your head without discussing and without listening to the residents. I like that Commissioner Bradford brought up, don't be biased and don't court a city manager, because we know she was guilty of that in the past, in the last selection. At least that was my view. I'm sure others can agree, but I'm glad you brought that up. Shorten it by a month, definitely, and have a contract already written with pay and visit and benefits that we're offering. And I'm not saying a full contract, I'm just saying a baseline. That way you can negotiate that later. Have it looked at by a competent attorney before you go into it. And I say competent attorney. And with Glenn Wickham, there has been in the past some commission interference, from what I heard from meetings and all that, with city managers. Try to look, find a happy medium. Peters was very accessible. Chisholm, not so much. Find a happy medium. And that's about all I got.
David Sosa, please.
Okay, few things brought up. Why hire a city manager that's unemployed? Okay, reasons he may be unemployed. Can't work with a dysfunctional commission. 2, commission interference. 3, political hit jobs because maybe commissions agree with certain unions that maybe the city manager doesn't. Those could be potential reasons why he's unemployed. All right. Difference between private and public sector. I agree, there's a big difference. In the private sector, if you don't run your business right, you go out of business. In the public sector, you just increase taxes. So there's a big difference there. So I'm not opposed to private or public, but I think we need to get the best candidate. Okay, now, let's see. Chisholm left us like that. Well, there was kind of a reason why he did. Multiple times he said, I don't want to be here long term. It was said like 3 or 4 times at meetings, I'm just a filler. But you went and you wanted to give him a 2-year contract. That's a big mistake right there, red flag. I don't want to be here, I'm just a filler. So we need to learn from that. Yeah, he didn't really walk out on you. He told you he didn't want to be here. So, and as far as golden parachutes, every one of you agreed to the golden parachutes. Not one of you questioned his contract. It was the worst contract I've seen so far, and all of you agreed to it. So you can't blame the guy over there asking for it. Now, going forward, I would really like to see in the selection that instead of just one commissioner making a motion, everybody's got to vote on it, have a grading rubric for each of the candidates that's interviewed, and have a justification of why you selected that person. Grade them, I don't care, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever you want. And instead of just a number, actually give a reason why you actually voted for that person.
Thank you. Albert Bryan, please.
Here I am again for the 4th time standing here in front of y'all about a manager. I've asked over and over and over for this search. And yet, it seems like we get somebody like an interim, and then y'all are satisfied, and the search disappears. So I'm going to put it to you this way. You have a choice now to make this right. You really do. Because you hired somebody with 40 years experience, and yet he was the worst manager we have seen in 28 years of being in Deltona. He had absolutely no open government, no transparency whatsoever. We begged for information from this podium. If that's what 40 years of experience gives us, I don't want it. Because at the end of the day, we've had 3 really good managers here. One was just terminated a while back. He was one of the most openest managers I've ever seen in this place. You could ask him anything. You could call him on the phone any time of the day, and he would give you the information that you needed. He wouldn't hide up in his office like Mr. Cooper did. For a whole year, we tried to get a hold of Cooper, never heard from him. At the end of the day, we want somebody that doesn't wait to the last second to do a budget and then transmits the wrong trim notice.
Thank you. Adam Vasquez, please.
Good evening, Adam Vasquez, District 3. I agree with Jody Lee that we need to hire someone with no government experience and not someone who's been fired from another city. I made this point to a few of you. You know, in our current form of government, a city manager reports to all of you. So when you guys are kind of all over the place and giving different messages to the city manager, it makes it really hard for the city manager to do their job. And then for political reasons, ultimately they end up not staying long. And you know, I think it's 19 city managers, I believe, in 28 years. That doesn't work out. I do like that we've only had 4 mayors in that time. Even though maybe some of them I may not have agreed with their policies, I do like the idea. And I don't know what this means right now. I'm still researching it. I do know that it only takes, based on our last election, with a turnout of 28,000 or so voters, that you only need 10% of that to change the charter. The people only need 2,800 signatures out of 100,000 residents. That's not really that hard. So I'm not really sure what type of strong mayor form of government makes sense. I am researching it, and I am going to bring a lot of support around it. But yeah, I really think that this city manager form of government has not served the city well. Our progress is stifled. You guys won't take a resident or a leader from within our community that their heart is best to hear, because you'd rather have someone that could be kind of your hitman or do your political bidding for you, and you get a majority so that they can do that. And then you fire them and bring someone else in. And meanwhile, all the stuff that the people actually care about aren't getting done, and that's why they're all here and so emotional with you all. So sounds like you have a large task at hand to select the next city manager. Hopefully you think really hard and long about it, and with our current form, hopefully it's someone who's going to stay more permanent. But if these shenanigans continue, we'll just change the charter. Thank you.
Okay, that closes public comments.
Thank you, Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great job on the committees. I agree with that completely. And, I think that all commissioners that work on this dais are open to sitting down in their office. And we cannot ignore the fact that there's a lot of social media rumor, conjecture, and politics that go on, and it's horrible. It's horrible right now, because I read things that are absolutely not true, that are pushed by people's political agenda, which is sad because our city is suffering right now. And I don't have a problem discussing the departure of any city manager that I've sat up here with. You want to know? You make an appointment and come sit down in my office. But to be able to suppose why the last city manager left is purely speculative, and until all the facts about that are put out. So I'm just going to say that. Our city needs to, at this time, concentrate, and I think that we are up here, and I think you are out there, with getting someone in that seat so Mr. Wickham can go back to his job. And we all agree on that. You agree on this, we agree on the points where we need to and how we need to get there. And so I am listening as a commissioner. I know that these commissioners are listening to what we need to do to go there. And I wish that we would put a lot of energy into moving forward, because to say that I'm not cognizant of mistakes that were made in the past is untrue. And I think that it is really nasty that there's a certain element that want to see this fail, and it's sad, because that's like hoping that the pilot that's on the plane fails and you crash. So having support right now from my residents is really, really important, because we have seen better days, and I believe that we're moving forward to do that. I completely support our residents, and I understand, because it wasn't that long ago that I was a resident and felt powerless. So please know that my office is open as we go through this, and I'm excited to hear from Mr. Carmen as we move through, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Wickham, we're going to...
Yes, sir. If it's the commission's will, we would like to get a consensus and maybe have Mr. Carmen come up and speak. I would like to say a couple of quick things, though, and that is that, you know, I've been in this position for about 2 days now. So I've been meeting with staff, in particularly HR and our finance staff, Mary Leeson, and the budget was done and presented to the commission, you know, in a workshop. We are in good shape there. There were some changes that you all wanted done, so that's done. So we're right on track, you know, to present the budget on the first meeting in September to get it approved. Also, I want to thank all the staff and the commission for the support, and the residents. It's been all this happened really quick, and I look forward to moving the city forward, assisting moving the city forward, and most definitely getting a permanent city manager in place. I think it's very important for us to do that. And so with that, if Mr. Carmen would like to come up, I'd appreciate it.
Mayor and Commission, I'm Carmen Rosamond. I'm the DeBary City Manager. Thank you. Again, I had a conversation with both your acting city manager and your city attorney today. Again, I was here 10 days ago, I guess, and we've been working. I wanted to dispel some rumors because obviously they spiral. How this came about, I'll be very honest with you, Mayor Villa and Mayor Chazet have a great relationship. Obviously, they were discussing a lot of issues that were going on at the particular time. Mayor Chazet reached out to me and asked me, is there anything that we could do to help City of DeBary, City of Deltona? And I said, yes. Certainly, we can put a management team together to help. And she said, this sounds great. Can you call Mayor Villa and offer your services to there? So I'm not here on my own accord. Just want to let everybody know that this was in cooperation of both mayors of both cities. And so I congratulate them on a great working relationship and doing the best for their city. And I just want to make sure that folks understand that I'm not here on my own accord. We're here to help. I've already made communication out to all the other city managers. I've also made communication with George Reckenwall to be able to provide a small team that can help you through this transition period. We were mainly focusing on the next 30 days, make sure that you meet some of the deadlines regarding your budget and getting those processes shored up so that it takes the stress off and that you can rely on and trust that you can get to the final results in a professional and organized manner. The other thing is if you need any assistance on anything else, we'll be glad to, we're here open to hear for you. We're not getting paid for this. This is totally volunteer, and this is the blessings of both the City of DeBary and all the other managers that may serve to help advise you all exactly the best way to go. We've had a lot of experience. We're not interested in the position, and so and if I was, I wouldn't be here right this moment. And so we're here to honestly provide you the feedback on any questions that you might have, not only for the staff but also for council as well, because we understand that it's a very complex process. Hiring a city manager is extremely complex. It can certainly get emotional. And the most important business decision, because we use that term a lot in the City of DeBary, the most important business decision you have is to hire this city manager and make the right choice for you. And so whatever, any recommendations that you need from me, I'm open to answer any questions now. But we're here and what we're looking for, obviously when I talk to the other city managers, is full council support. Allowing this small management group to help support not only you but also your management team here, and that's what we're kind of looking for today. Is for if there's any objection for this management team to be an advisory to your staff and help them through this particular process. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you. That's generally what we're looking for. It's very difficult to put a management team together when we don't have full council support.
As the mayor of the city of Deltona, I am more than grateful that one of our sister cities is standing here offering their help, very unbiased, willing to work as a team, as we should, to strengthen West Volusia, more importantly than anything, because as you very well know, this side of the county sometimes gets overlooked, and I'm very glad the Volusia County is stepping up as well. I hate to say this out loud, but it's about time. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sitting throughout the workshop. Thank you for sitting throughout the special commission meeting. It really does mean a lot to us as a whole. So we'll go to Vice Mayor Bradford, then Commissioner Jody Lee, then Commissioner McCool.
Mr. Carmen, thank you again. As the mayor said, having our surrounding cities, we are the side, DeBary, DeLand, Orange City, Deltona, Lake Helen, we're all one, basically. And we're all sometimes considered the stepchild over here. So thank you. What I would like to see, we need somebody that is over the board of our residents and staff, and it would be, I think, awesome if you and George Reckenwall would actually be a part of those committees to assist with questions or, guiding the boards along. I don't know if that would be the will up here, but I think it would be a great asset to have your experience on the board.
Well, Volusia County Council Member Santiago was here 10 days ago as well. I talked to George, and it's not George himself, but it would definitely be some of his resources to help with some of the processes here. I'll be glad to help you with the city manager issues. I'm thinking a lot of things over my recommendation over here on some of the things you've been talking about. I'll be glad to comment on those if you'd like, but it's also important to us make sure that you succeed and get the right person in here. Again, this is the most important business decision that you have, and in my opinion, you shouldn't take it lightly and you shouldn't take it quick. Because there's a lot of people out there, and you just have to find just one. And that's hopefully that's reassuring that you may get hundreds of people apply, but you're only looking for one, and you're looking for the right one. And they're there. You just gotta diligently look for them.
Right, and you're right. We are just looking for one, and to find that experience, and it has to be well-rounded, because one of the biggest obstacles that we've had is the development, and we got to make sure that that individual is aware of development. So there's a lot of areas that go with it. But again, I just want to say thank you, and I don't know, does anybody else do we have a person in mind to be over the board, or what were you guys thinking as far as?
I think what Carmen is,
because he wants to be more on the side of the hiring of the city manager, correct?
No, well, look, I can make some recommendations for you. I know you talked about if you want some recommendations, I'll give you some. It's great to have a citizens committee, and they should filter the applications and make recommendations. It's good to have a staff committee who can filter the resumes and make recommendations to the council, to the commission, and then it's the commission's responsibility to take whatever the recommendations are and make a final decision. It's tough to delegate that kind of authority to citizens or staff, but you can certainly get their recommendations on what they think might be the best candidates to be interviewed. And then it's the council, then the commission needs to interview them. And how you pare down to those final 10 candidates or 5 candidates to interview, those are the recommendations that come from residents, that come from staff, that come from you, and all those recommendations. And then you come up with 5 or 10 great candidates that you can interview and really take some time in interviewing them. During your last process, you had about 15 minutes to interview each candidate. It takes about 2 hours for each candidate. Yeah. And the questions should be in depth. It should be in lines of, are they a communicator? Are they a consensus builder? A lot of these other cities, and again, we use them. We benchmark all the time with other cities, and you should not feel one iota about calling another city and say, "Can I see your city? You just hired a city manager last year. Can I see your posts?" And use those as benchmarks to make sure that you get the right post out there and you're looking for the right qualifications. I mean, some of the things that I talked about, you're being a strategist, problem solver, vote change, hold people accountable, honest and integrity, and have government experience. And whether you choose somebody from the city manager ranks or from other government entities is your choice. But your most experienced folks that have experience in all the different aspects of the government and the department is going to be folks that are either your assistant city managers or your former city managers. So yes.
Just to clarify, I believe what you're talking about is having I guess a workforce to help Mr. Wood come out for the next 30 days to get us through the budget, the trim notice, and some of the hurdles we have. Is that what your committee's for?
Yep, and if you need any help in any of the other aspects, we'd be glad to do whatever it takes for the next 30 days to make sure you get off to a good start.
Great.
Thank you. Commissioner Jody Lee, Commissioner McCool, then Commissioner Avila-Vasquez.
Mr. Graham, thank you for coming out and offering your assistance. We appreciate it. The city appreciates it. We all do. When it comes to all the help we can get, we'll take it. I believe Mr. Whitcomb, if he needs your help, I believe he'll reach out to you. I mean, he's going to probably reach out to any city or any managers or elected official that he can need help from, and I'm sure people will lend a hand. I have a lot of confidence in Mr. Whitcomb at this point where it stands. He's had to step in several times before in the past. So, I appreciate all your help and anything you can do to help our acting city manager, intern city manager, whatever title he has right now. But whatever help he needs, I'm glad you guys are there to help him. And I'm sure if he needs any outside help between finance and other people we have a lot of very competent staff that know how to run their departments. And from what I understand, the budget is just about done already. There was something with the trim notice, I get that, and so, but I'm sure if he needs you, he'll be reaching out to you. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner McCool, then Commissioner Avila-Vasquez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for that, because I know Mr. Wickham will be addressing something on the trim notices before we leave this room this evening. Also, one of the top things, I'm saying this to you and the public as well, and as well as ourselves, one of the things that we need to work hardest on is identifying our own dysfunction. Because we have a lot of diversity up on our dais. We have a lot of room to build consensus, right, as it were. And I'm saying that to you because I know that about 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, DeBerry was in a horrible way and came and found a way to build consensus, to identify where we differ and identify where we are consensus building. And I just am stating that is one of my desires, because I mean, I have opinions, right? I have projects, I have these things, and it's been made mention that we run city managers off because of interference. And I want to say that for the record, my interference is this, is if I have residents in my area that are being flooded, I'm going to hound you until they're taken care of, right? If there are issues, that's how I interfere. I've never tried to tell a city manager who to hire, who to fire, what to do in that respect. But we all have things that we need to get done, and I think that that's been widely misinterpreted as that we are interfering with the city manager's job. For me, that's my kind of interference. I've been talked to from the dais about that before. The last city, or Mr. Peters, brought that out in public. So I bring that up to fall on my own sword to talk about the fact that working to identify what our own dysfunction is and how we could collaborate better is like up on the top 3 of what I am, because I think that with that issue being addressed, with a willingness to work on that as publicly as we can, because we can't talk to one another. Right? If we can't, it's, you know, and we hear screams of sunshine. So we're in a position to where if we want to do what's best for our residents in a collaborative way, there's a system by which we can do that, you know, and I want the residents to understand that also. So I leave you with that also as a big task to be addressed also. And the last thing that I have to say is that you have my yes on a consensus to engage and let that committee move forward the way that that collective feels that they need to work and working with our interim right now. So thank you. Thank you very much for coming, you and Mayor Chazé. Thank you so much for stepping up.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and then Vice Mayor Bradford, and then I'll get consensus from the rest.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Carmine, thank you also for being out here and offering your help. On a personal level, I'm going to let our interim city manager reach out to you and ask for any help he needs as far as the budget is concerned. And anything else that the commissioners up here decide that is needed, we really, really appreciate you. And I just, if I'm allowed, Mayor, I just like to go to maybe 1 or 2 of the comments that were made. The one of the comments that we heard, and I don't know, okay, is the salary. We do not dictate what the salaries are for us here. That's part of the charter, and trust me, it's not a lot. So in order for that, I think we did a vote on that at once before, and everyone, it was a unanimous vote on salary-wise. And as far as strong mayor, that's on the charter, and that has to change in the charter. The commissioners cannot make that decision, and I think the charter is reviewed every 5 years. So I'm not saying it cannot be done, but it has to be voted by the residents, not by the commissioners. And before you vote on that, just make sure you know what that means, what you're giving up. So the other thing that I want to make also is, you know, we can make this work with a new city manager. We just have to know what our boundaries are, and we have to let our city manager do their job. We have to let our city manager give them the chance to do their job with staff. You know, we walk in, we report our problems, unlike what residents think. You call us with your concerns or your problems, and those problems are walked into the city manager's office, and we give them the report. From there on, we step away, and it should be the city manager to take over from there with their staff to get the problems resolved. And they do keep us updated. We get emails on the status of everything that's going on, and if we see that something is not being resolved, we go back, at least myself, go back into the city manager's office to keep update with what's going on, to make sure that it gets, whatever the issue is, gets done. So I think that going forward with a new city manager, we should know our boundaries, and we should stay with those boundaries, do the job that we need to do, and let them, him or she, do her job with her staff or his staff, and just monitor what we bring to them. Otherwise, we're going to be back here again in a few years looking for a new city manager because the one that we had was either fired or resigned. But as long as we respect our city managers, I don't think we're going to be seeing this problem again. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Carmen, a question came up about a firm. I would like your opinion and recommendation on utilizing a firm or just throwing blind searches out there.
Well, you can go a number of different directions. Both of them work. You can go independently or you can go with a firm. There are some pros and cons to each one of them. Certainly, you can advertise for a city manager with ICMA. You can post up there. You can post on the Florida City Managers Association website. There's a number of different websites that you can post that will get the word out that you're looking for a city manager. And just you know, we're debating 60 or 90 days. 60 days is plenty for people to submit their resume. So both of them work, pros and cons. The con for doing it yourself, you've got to put a team together who can understand and read and understand what's in the resumes. You know, what does it mean about a growth management director and growth management? And do they understand planning and zoning? And do they understand how to negotiate with developers? And answering and asking those specific questions and having these guys or ladies, I call everybody guys, I'm sorry, having the teammates tell you how they negotiate deals. Is extremely important, but you got to be able to have those types of questions and interview them for several hours on all these particular issues and let them explain those. Not how many years of experience you have or how long you've done this or that. It's about getting into their personality traits and identifying what their skills are. Are they able to negotiate $1 million deals? For the betterment of the city? Are there loyalists, and have them provide some examples? How do they communicate? You know, that's one of the things that Mayor Chazet and I have championed is the communication aspect. There's a lot of time in this organization that's wasted on because communication is not good enough. And you waste a lot of time here, you waste a lot of time in staff. They get a lot of calls at the front desk because people are not understanding what's going on or details. And so communication is really important. And we communicate all the time. I have 5 council members. It's easier than 7, but you got to have that communication. You talked about problem identification, where a council member walks into your office and these are the problems that I see are occurring, and that's problem identification. Then you got to have the ability to resolve them. And that's a key element of how do I take it from identification into resolution. And each one of you, just like me, I got 5 council members. There's 5 different sets of problem identification, right? And then you gotta have the ability to resolve them and execute them. And that's where you get customer satisfaction from the council. And so your city manager should view the council as his or her customers. And that's totally different than from traditional governments. But I view our council as customers, and I do everything I can to satisfy them.
That does help. I mean, with that said, we kind of need to make a decision. Do we want to go with a firm? You know, there was a firm selected by our prior commission, but I don't know. I mean, it's been a while. Do we want to go back and put an RFQ out for another firm, or what do we want to do?
And firms, and I didn't talk about the cons on firms. Right. Firms are going to bring you a lot of names, and depending on who you hire, they can bring a lot of retreads. Yep. And so, you got to have the ability to look through those resumes, and they're going to make a recommendation to you on 5 or 10 candidates. You have to have the ability to choose, go through those lists and choose your own if you see a candidate in there that's worthy. So you have to filter, you got to be smart, you got to look at resumes, and you really got to ask the tough questions to the candidates. And that's really going to boil down to, because when you get down to the interviews, regardless of who you have in front of you, 5 or 10, whether it's from a firm or from your residents' recommendations or from your staff's recommendations, ultimately it boils down to one thing. Are you able to answer the questions and evaluate the people that are standing in front of you? And are you able to make that smart choice in a non-emotional business manner? And that's where council and I talk about that all the time. We make business decisions, and they're non-emotional. And that's what you have to make sure that you take out of the process. Is you got to take out the emotion in the process.
So if we do the non-firm route, would your human resources department funnel most of those prior to coming to us? You know, they go through them, and, you know, obviously our clerk go through them and, you know, verify that XYZ meets the highest criteria? Or?
Well, you should have some minimum standards, right? How many years of experience are you looking for? And so you got the minimum standards. You want to make sure they have the minimum standards, because if you make an independent advertisement, you're going to get a lot of, I call them fly-by-night applicants. And so you got to weed through all those, the folks that don't have the experience that you're looking for. So you got to be very specific in the experience you're looking for so that you can weed out those that are just fly-by-nighters and are just putting their application for no reason at all.
So that's what I'm saying. Did you utilize your human resources department, or was that going through city clerk?
Usually your HR who's looking at all the applications or weeding through the applications may see who meets minimum qualifications. They're not making any decisions on the type of person or anything else in that regard. When you set the minimum expectations, what they are, then they'll filter those applications out and see who meets minimum qualifications. And then from there, the applications can go to you, to the Citizens Committee, and to the staff. And then each group make their recommendations on who are the 10 or 12 best candidates. And then you can pare them down from there. But it's really the council that the responsibility is on to get down to the last 10 or 12 applications to be able to really decipher. And be honest with you, you don't have to choose anybody. You can re-advertise. You can go through more of the list. Again, it's a business decision, and whatever it takes to get the right person is what needs to be happening.
And the reason I ask those questions, because being up here for a while, I think we've had once where it was like, no, I want every application to go before our desk. Overwhelming. It's way too overwhelming. So I'm asking this for insight so everybody up here that hasn't been through a city manager search understands that having that assistance with the weeding out the unqualified individuals, it's a lifesaver, because we will get a ton of unqualified applications.
Well, and it's, as I said before, benchmark with your fellow cities. They got the posts, they got the expectations, the years of experience, whatever other expectations they have. And you can benchmark some who've been very successful. I mean, Port Orange a year ago just went through the city managers. I can certainly send you the City of DeBerry's post from way back. And there's just a number of different cities that just hired, I think Seminole County just hired a county manager. So there's all kinds of expectations. You just have to go out there and hunt a little bit, get those benchmarks and see what those expectations are, and then put them into your post. I would recommend, I haven't seen your post language, but if you're not happy with it, postpone it for 7 days and see what you can do to benchmark and get those expectations so that you can weed out and filter the applications professionally and consistently.
Can we work on that, city manager, getting some local cities, some nearby cities, getting some of those benchmarks so we can go over them? And we do need to get this posted, but I'm not ready to post it tomorrow. So I'd like to see if we can get a benchmark. I don't know if everybody else up here is in consensus with that.
If there's a consensus with that, yes, we can do that. However, I would like to make a comment. I know my comments are over, basically, but I do, like Mr. Carmen says, you can go either way with the search for a city manager. I've been here a long time, and I've seen them come and go, unfortunately. And I know this might not be popular, but I think you might want to still consider possibly using a firm to do the search for the vetting purposes, is the reason I'm saying that. Because I believe you're going to get a lot of applications that are, we've seen before, even in the public works side, we've seen applications that we're looking for, let's say, wastewater plant operators, for example, and we get a forklift operator apply for the job. And nothing wrong with that, but that particular position requires a license by the state of Florida to be that operator. And there are a lot of requirements for a city manager also, certifications, et cetera, education, all those things. So just food for thought. It's y'all's decision what you want to do and how you want to handle it. And however you want to handle it, we will do that.
Okay, and then we've all been talking up here about, this is my last question, getting you help. So what areas do you feel you need help? I'm assuming since you've already been talking to them, you're game on that, but I don't want you to feel that we're pushing it on you by any way because we don't trust you. I mean, obviously you're there because we do trust you. So I just want you to know that I leave that to you. If you need the assistance, I'm happy these cities are here. By no means am I saying that this is a great because I don't trust you, because you've done an amazing job.
And thank you for that, and thank the city of DeBary for offering the help. I'm going through a lot of things right now as far as making sure we have what we need and looking at the future of what we need. I don't know if it's actually been put out today, but we are posting the planning and development director's position. Unfortunately, Mr. Ruiz, I've tried, and he's still adamant about it that he's going to leave. So we're working through those issues right now. I may reach out to Mr. Carmen, and discuss a couple of those things. And I do appreciate the help. Again, as I mentioned earlier about the budget, I think we wanted to have meetings this week individually with the commission to discuss the budget and go over where we are, which the budget is done. There was just some changes that you all wanted. Those have all been taken care of. So we would like the opportunity to go over that with y'all. So yes, I appreciate the help, and I appreciate everybody's confidence from the diocese. It means a lot to me, and I want to move this city forward. I want to assist in moving this city forward. I can't do it by myself. It takes you all, it takes the residents, and it takes the employees. We have a great staff here, and I know there's been a lot of comments made about kind of using the staff up, but we're resilient. We're resilient, and doing this search with HR, they're kind of limited. They're shorthanded at this point, but we will do whatever you want us to do, whatever your consensus is, and whichever direction you want to take.
So I believe, Carmen, you have consensus from the dais as long as Mr. Whitcomb agrees to it, right? We have no issue with the help. As a matter of fact, I heard all of us say we welcome it, but we also want to make sure staff knows that we trust them and we have confidence in them. So the decision lies with Mr. Whitcomb. I'm sure tomorrow you can get with him. And Mr. Whitcomb, if you need that help, the dais is here to say, yes, we're okay with them helping you. The choice is up to you. You're the interim city manager until we get the permanent one, so you can go right back to your...
Yes, I think that the consensus, at least what I can see, is that you would accept the help from the city of DeBary, and if that's what you so desire, I'm fine with it.
If you need it, yes.
Yeah, if I need it. I really do have a really competent staff. I cannot overstate that too much, especially our finance department. I have competent staff in all the departments. Public Works, utilities are being taken care of. I'm not trying to do all that myself because I realize this is the focus and the priority is moving the city forward, and again, trying to get a permanent city manager in here as quick as we can. Not that I don't want to help you, because I do, but I understand, and I understand the department I came from. I would ask that once this is all done, that I would be able to step back into my position and continue forward with what we're doing. So with that, I'll be quiet and give it back to you.
And Mayor, just to understand that we're 100% support role. We won't dictate or anything else until you ask. So,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carmen. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, that was the city manager comments. I know we have one commissioner on the... Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much for all of that. And if we decide to go with a firm also, not to exclude other applications coming in. I mean, because at this juncture right now, drinking from a fire hose comes to mind. I wanted to also make sure that two things, that the HR has the support that they need, because I know that Rebecca stated, due to this influx, right, whatever support that she may need to come in front of the commission, whether it be short-term or long-term, to make sure that this process is solid, that nothing is, that we can be very thorough, and that she can afford the manpower, right, to do that. And the last thing that I would ask is that any applications that come through, that they are asked to make sure that they are going through the appropriate department, because I don't want the case to where we have somebody sending an application to the individual commissioners. If that happens, I would ask that we tell that person that applications must be directed to who you say, HR, to the clerk's office, whatever that is. But I want us to really be adamant about that so that we are above board as we move through the application process on that. And I would ask that we, again, get very busy on assembling the committees and getting that information started so that we can start discussing that and get those committees seated before we start getting applications, because I know that we have a couple already coming in. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't know how we need to move forward on that. I know that there was a company before, I believe, that emailed us, a search firm that we used before, and in the sake of transparency and time to maybe reach back out to them. I understand that there was some new costs provided for that. It might not be popular, again, because I want you to understand as residents, I understand I'm using your tax money to do this. I'm very cognizant of that, but I also want to make sure that we pull from every resource that we can a good group of candidates that you get to choose from. So I would stand by that if that is the will of the commission, to engage a search firm, not to the exclusion of private sector that want to submit also, if that is the will of the commission.
So you're looking for consensus on us to use both the firm and the private way, correct? Is that what you want?
Yes, and I would base that on the fact that that is a recommendation of two professionals, right?
So we'll just go down the line. Commissioner Caldwell, do we have consensus from you? Commissioner Jody Lee? Commissioner Avila Vasquez? Vice Mayor Bradford?
Are we allowed to use both the firm and an individual?
Yeah.
The firm doesn't have a problem with that because they vet them?
It's in the last, if you look at the last contract.
That's fine then. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So you have consensus. We're going to go to, we're going to do the last two comments, which were Commissioner Avila Vasquez and then Commissioner Jody Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question. I know one of the residents suggested that we select two residents to the committee. Are we okay with that? Because I know we said
Up to
one.
the commission.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm okay with that as well.
So we're changing it to two now?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Vice Mayor?
And
we
that-
have consensus, so yes, we're okay.
Okay, and that also goes for the department selecting two staff.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question? Sure. I hate to jump back in.
No, go ahead.
No, talking about the city employees, me directing the city employee, pick a group of people. I don't have a problem with that, but my question is, do you want me to exclude myself? I don't have a problem with excluding myself and appointing other employees, because
I don't think you should. This is my opinion, and everybody else can give theirs as well, but I don't think you should exclude yourself. You have over 40 years of experience, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we picked you because I think we feel that you're competent enough. So if you're one of those people, I don't have a problem. I don't know the rest of the commission.
We're good.
You're good? No, we don't have an issue.
I'm good. You know how the gravy's made, so.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that we have a consensus on that. Okay, I have no problem with it. And when you get done with the rest of the comments you have, I need to bring up something. I'm sorry.
I have you right here.
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Jody Lee.
So we still have to put the parameters of what we want, right?
That's what
they're going to put together. Okay, so that's going to be all put together, and that's going to be brought back to us.
Correct.
How soon?
Well, that's what I was gonna recap in just a minute when you were done.
Because if everybody's in a rush to do this, we have to get our parameters together
and we need
somewhat
deadlines.
quick and put them back out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all my thing was.
So just to recap, we're putting two committees together, one for residents, one for staff. Each commissioner up here is going to pick two residents from the city of Deltona, and then Mr. Whitcomb, you are picking two staff members from departments, that's totally up to you. We are going to, from what I gathered from the meeting, shorten our search, correct? The time frame? Was that correct, Vice Mayor? Was that your suggestion that you were giving? Yeah. Okay. And then you guys are going to set a baseline parameters for it to come back to the commission or the dais so we can move forward.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you would clarify, though, each commissioner has a pick of 2. I need for the commission to to say whether those 2 need to be from their district or if it is just at the pleasure of the commissioner.
Just at the pleasure of the commissioner.
Okay.
Are you guys okay with the pleasure of the commissioner or from your district?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor, do you want applications for this, or are y'all going to just pick
You know, personally, I will tell you, I think each commissioner should should let the residents email them, and we go, I mean, you know what, we need to hear from our residents, the people that put us up here. So if the residents want to email each one of us, I have no issue going through emails.
Yes, I'd like an application.
Yeah?
I want to know who out there wants to be on the committee.
Right, okay.
I don't want it to be that I'm just biasly picking my friends to do this, because I think it should be, if we're going all transparency, that XYZ put in. Ms. Tara said she wants to do this, you know? So I would love to see applicants, instead of me just picking and then being accused of, you know, you
Let's
like
put a
my
deadline.
friends.
Let's put a deadline to that. So with
Mayor?
next, who's talking? Hold on. Go ahead.
We can ask, you know, them to use one of our current applications, just, you know, change some information on it to make it easier for them.
One of the boards. Use the board and committee application for that.
That's perfect.
And they would just, it's done online, they can submit it, then we get them, and then we would give them all to you.
All right, and then we pick out of that pool. Is that how we're going to do it?
That we could, if we're going to pick out a pool, I thought we can each pick 2 people at will that we want. Because, I mean, I wasn't even going to pick somebody in my district, one person in mine, one out, so I can get different opinion. But you're saying we can pick residents, but now we're putting parameters on picking residents to pick our city manager. I mean, it just...
And you're getting the same application to each commissioner, like you have commissioners like maybe picking the same person. So I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
we said we wanted resident input.
Vice Mayor, I don't know about the applicant process. You know what I mean? Email is good, expressing interest in it, but how are you going to?
But then they just got to make sure they send it to every commissioner. Or what, every commissioner.
Hold on, stop. So let's do this. If residents are interested in being part of it, let the residents pick who they want, like however you want. If they want to send it to a specific person, and then it could be that way. That way, because at the end of the day, let's say Vice Mayor and Commissioner Avila Vasquez pick the same person. They don't know they're picking the same person unless they violate the sunshine. So let's just let each one of us pick who we're going to pick, right? Just email us. If we can put, if it's at the pleasure of the dais, right? If we can put something out there on social media or whatever it is, all the means that we use, that if you're interested in being part of this committee, email your commissioner or the mayor, whoever it is you want to email, to be picked, and then we go through our emails. That way there is some type of a vetting process, right? And that we're not picking our friends essentially.
And what time is, with time certain, and at the pleasure of the commission, what would be that
2 weeks.
time?
I think 2 weeks is a long time, but 2 weeks minimum, or maximum, sorry.
I don't.
2 weeks, Vice Mayor?
I think 2 weeks
1 week?
is too long.
1 week then?
1 week.
I'm okay with
Next
that.
meeting, 1 week.
Yeah.
All right. So by next meeting, which is a little bit over a week, are we okay by the next meeting?
Actually, the next meeting is next Monday, and that's a short period of time to put some of this together. But if we can come back 2 weeks, you know, like the week that you do the September meeting, like 2 days after that or something, well, I can check with Joyce so we can look at the calendar, and that'll give us a little time to put stuff together. I'm not trying to delay anything, but we want to make sure we get this right.
That's why I said 2 weeks initially, because I know it takes time for everyone.
That'll be enough time to get
Government works
parameters together.
Yes,
as
it
well.
would help us, it would help staff be able to get things together and, you know, be more thorough with it, because if we jump fast, you know, there could be mistakes made. And I feel more comfortable with 2 weeks, but it's up to y'all.
Yeah, that's,
So what date is that on, Mr. Whitcomb? September?
Is it the 6th, Joyce? I'm sorry.
September 6th is your special commission meeting, which is for budget and the tentative millage.
Okay.
So it's not a regular meeting, it's a special meeting for that. So if you want that added to it, we can do that.
We're okay with
Then
that.
you're looking at the 18th.
Are we okay with
Yeah.
September 6th? I think that would be better than the
yes,
18th.
yes.
Yes, you have consensus. Yes.
So we're having trouble picking people to volunteer for a city manager search. We can't even agree on picking them.
We got it.
We got to pick a city manager?
We got it. September 6th, we got it. Okay, perfect. All right, no more comments. We're going to go directly to interim city manager comments about the trim notice situation. So our residents are aware. Please, Mr. Whitcomb.
Sorry, get used to the mic. Yes, a trim notice was sent out today with a couple of incorrect figures. One of them was the stormwater assessment that was voted down. The increase was voted down, and also the solid waste fees, the incorrect amounts on those. So when the regular trim notice comes out, the final trim notice, all those will be correct. And I would like to ask Mary to stand up, please, and come up and explain just a little bit.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to address that. Truth in millage or trim is the process to inform taxpayers of what the legislative process to determine the ad valorem and the non-ad valorem taxes. The city must follow Florida statutes with following the trim process. If we do not, we will risk losing revenue sharing from the state. We are fully in compliance with the trim process. The trim notice is truth in millage proposed taxes. So what the residents received today, or you may in the next few days, is the proposed tentative ad valorem and non-ad valorem. Non-ad valorems are the assessments, solid waste, and stormwater. The commission voted on June 19th to have a proposed assessment of $160 for stormwater and $233.15 for solid waste. That is the proposed rate. That is the rate that went on the proposed trim notice. We sent that to the property appraiser, and that was on July 10th. The deadline to be received by the property appraiser in the state is August 2nd. You had your final vote on the non-ad valorem on August 7th, which the commission voted to return to last year's rate. So the proposed rate was what the commission voted on, which is on the trim notice. So I understand what you're saying is it's incorrect because it's not the final rate. It was a proposed rate, and the November property tax bill will be the rate that was voted by the commission on August 7th, $128 for solid waste, $202.80 for solid waste. I'm sorry, $128 is stormwater. Okay, I just wanted to clear that up because we are following trim correctly. Why are you shaking your head, Mayor? Do you have a question?
I'm trying to tell the other commissioners that there's no more comments. This is a city manager comment.
Okay, thank you.
I wasn't shaking my head for anything else.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Glenn, do you have any other questions or comments?
No, sir,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
meeting's adjourned.